Hello, my friends. This is Andy over at Today's CBD Oil, coming to you from my personal page, where I've had a lot of activity today. So much fun. Earlier today, I had a meeting with my friend Jason Jordan he's from the United States, but he's in Italy, flew in here. Great guy. Hoping I can, have him join my team of CBD oil entrepreneurs. That'll be fantastic if he does. But we had a great meeting. Great guy. If you, ever run into a guy like Jason Jordan, hang on to him as a friend. He's a really cool guy. Has a lot of good knowledge and information. It makes me laugh like crazy. But if you have any of those people in your life, keep them around. They're good people. Hello. Somebody just joined me. Who was that? We've got a bunch of viewers already. We're going to be talking about sleep today because, as you know, one of the most important things that has come out of me. Hey, Teresa, and welcome from the Great White North. One of the most important things that has come to me in regard to taking CBD oil is the increased sleep and what I believe to be a better quality sleep. Now, I am one of those people. I'm going to confess that I am one of those people that used to be proud of the fact that I didn't sleep very much, 2 to 3 hours. I don't know why. It was one of those things that you go, I hardly need any sleep, right? You know these people, right? I'm one of them who would just walk around and say, I sleep 2 to 3 hours. I get so much more done because I'm awake all the time. I didn't know how much better my life is, how much more I get done now because I sleep more. I actually get more done now with more sleep. I literally went from 2 to 4 hours to about 8 hours of sleep a night. And again, I talk about this is kind of gross, but I know that it's good sleep because I wake up with drool on my pillow. That is the thing that I look for when I am determining whether I slept well or not. Sleep at 56 years of age has suddenly come to realize, and even my former wife, I got to give her credit. She used to tell me, that you're killing yourself by not sleeping. And I go, you know how you are. You never listen to your wife. You're never an expert in your own backyard. But, I'm here I will apologize to her for that. She was right. And I'm sorry about that. There's a lot of other things, but she was right about sleep. And I will even look at sleep differently with my children because they, fight a little bit on their sleep. Oh, Dad, can I just stay up a little bit longer? Sure. And I need to be a little bit better with them too and educate them. And I'm going to be on the same page because I'm finding out that my sleep has really improved a lot of different things. Now, some of it could be the CBD oil because I know I need to slow down with CBD oil. But as a former law enforcement officer where I did shift work, and that's right, shift work, where I was working either graveyard or from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 3 o'clock in the morning, getting home at about 5 o'clock, about 4:30 in the morning, and then trying to go to sleep and then wake up, in that shift work. And I'm going to talk about that in this presentation because I'm going to bring in, not in the man personally, but I just listened to a podcast from a guy by the name of Matthew Walker, who has written a book called Why We Sleep. But I'm losing my point. I started on a subject matter. Oh my gosh, I was on a whole tangent here. But anyway, the shift work really jacked me up. And I truly believe that it's okay not to sleep. That, I know sleep is good, your brain, but I didn't think that you needed that much. And what I've learned from listening to this podcast, again, as my former wife was correct. And I have also learned that a lot of damage is being caused from lack of sleep. It's not just that you operate better. There's damage. That's right. Damage being caused by lack of sleep. Yeah, squirrels. I think that the lack of sleep, the years of lack of sleep have caused me to see more squirrels. I think that is an issue. So let me just say hi to a couple people before we get started here. But Charmaine, glad to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. For some reason, got my CBD oil I ordered from you, Andy, my husband, and I are both taking it. Fantastic. I'm so happy. Teresa, thank you. You can always use a few cackles. Oh, not that you cackle. I'm just saying a few laughs. Sorry about that. I don't know. You may cackle, but I doubt that you cackle. All right. So, Nabi, hey, bud. who loves you. I love you too. I'm full of love today, as you know from my personal posts. And yes, the squirrels often get me. I'm part dog, apparently. I'm so damaged that I'm beyond repair. No, you're not damaged beyond repair. You can always improve on your sleep. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to learn more. So I've reached out to Matthew Walker. I've sent him an email. I found his email. I've sent him an email, ask him a few questions about CBD oil and sleep. I've also asked him if he would appear on an interview. So it would be great to be able to interview him. I'm imagine because he's done, I think, TED Talks and some other YouTube videos. You can look him up and look at some of the stuff. But I would love to interview him in response to how I feel that I'm getting better sleep and more quality sleep from CBD oil. And I'd like to hear what his thoughts are about that. I know what he thinks about marijuana and sleep. Marijuana, because it has THC, there is an issue in regard to smoking marijuana and sleep. Although you may fall asleep, the THC, because THC affects your brain, CBD oil affects your body. I'm assuming that's why it may not be as great for you in regard to sleeping because of the THC going straight to the brain. And so that's where I want to ask him those questions. So let me first show you his book here. And we'll go solo on that really quick. So Amazon.com, just go there. I don't have an affiliate code anymore. That's the hardest thing to maintain is that darned affiliate code with Amazon. So just get his book and maybe read it. I just bought the Audible version just now. I've been listening to his interviews he did an interview with Google. And the interview with Joe Rogan, I think, is the best. If you don't like the F word, then don't listen to Joe Rogan's, because every so often they throw that out there. Some people get really offended by language. So I'm just going to warn you that there is a few, but Joe Rogan does great interviews, really, really good interviews. And his interview with Matthew was fantastic. I got a lot of it. And I want to thank my daughter for sending that to me. She's the one who heard the podcast and thought, it would be relevant to CBD oil because my daughter, Courtney, because she knows that I'm getting really into the study of all this stuff. So it's really cool. All right. Really quick before, again, we go to the presentation, let me just show you some of the products of CBD oil from HempWorks that we are marketing. And it is good stuff. It is good quality. Just a great company. If you want to get on the beginning stages of a wave of business, you definitely want to join me on this run. Please come and join me. I would love for all of you at least all of you that I can see are on here. If you're not, it would be great to be on this run with a bunch of my friends, because again, we are just starting with CBD oil. So it would be great to have you there. So go ahead and join us. So Moss says, my 82-year-old dad had horrible neck pain and was talking about getting injections. About 2 months ago, I told him to try the CBD oil. I can report as of Sunday when I spoke to him, he hardly has any neck pain and his back is not stiff as it was. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I literally, and I read these, I get teary-eyed. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm so emotional when it comes to this stuff. I've had text messages from people with migraine headaches. I've had text messages from other people with pain. I've had text messages from people that have lack of sleep. I get every so often one where somebody says, well, I'm not really feeling too much effect from it. But I'd say the majority of what I'm getting are people like this. An 82-year-old person, why at this age, after all they've been through, should suffering from pain be one of those things? It shouldn't. And if you can use something that has no side effects, right, that has nothing, that's going to cause more damage to your liver, your what other organs that some medications can cause damage to, steroids and whatnot. If you can take CBD oil and have it take away what she said. Try to stay away from the FDA stuff. That I don't know. Wow. Just thank you for sharing. I really do appreciate that very much. All right, so what I did is I wrote down some notes from Matthew Walker's podcast with Joe Rogan, and I just want to share some of these things. And it may change your mind about sleep. I know that it has mine, and I'm all on fire now about sleep. I think sleep, to me, right? I don't know enough yet. I'm just telling you that I would love to hear Matthew's as if he's a friend of mine, Dr. Walker. Dr. Walker's opinion on CBD oil in regard to sleep. But I do know, at least if I'm sleeping, it has to be doing something better, right? Compared to when I wasn't sleeping before. So let's go ahead and go to my notes here. So I'm going to take my lower third off and my little icon there. And so the one thing that really stood out was this very first statement. Well, I don't know if it was the first statement, but it was a statement that stood out in the podcast. And he said, the shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. So if you don't sleep very well, if he says that you should at least sleep 7 hours, from what I remember from the podcast. I didn't take that note for some reason, but I believe it was at least 7 hours a night. Then you should, Cindy, you should try this. Yeah. I'm telling you, it is amazing what has happened in my life as far as I'm in a much better mood. I'm just more motivated. I get more done. It is really crazy. I can't even tell you. So the shorter you're asleep, the shorter your life. So if you were intended on living to be 90, because you don't sleep very well, that could be shortened. I think it is by 10 years is what we're going to find out later. So you will die potentially at 80 because of this lack of sleep that you're getting. So, well, I don't mind dying at 80. That's perfectly fine. But no, you could have been totally healthy until 90. Are you kidding me? Why would you do that to your friends and family and your kids? You're being a little bit selfish. And I've been selfish. I'll tell you. I was proud that I didn't sleep and would say, I will sleep when I die. And what I didn't realize is that I will sleep when I die sooner is what I should have been saying. All right. Wakefulness is low-level brain damage. And he talked about this with Joe. And Joe just about fell out of his chair. I could almost see him if I was in that studio. He goes, wait a minute. Being awake causes brain damage? And he says, yes. But the sleep is what offers a reparatory function. The sleep is what repairs the brain damage we cause each and every day that we're awake, and every moment of every day we're awake. And I can tell you that I know for sure that this is true, because you get you get as you're awake longer and you work your brain harder, you do begin to get a little bit kooky, right? You get your temper becomes shorter. You maybe lose your train of thought, just as I did just now. But more often, I do that anyway. But I know that it happens more often when I'm not, when I'm getting tired and when I've overworked myself. We get exhausted, right? And we just go, oh, and our whole body hurts when our brain has been awake and overworked for the day. And so wakefulness is low level brain damage, according to this doctor. And he gave some real good examples of that on that podcast. I really would suggest, again, listen to Joe Rogan's interview of Matthew. It's episode 2109, I think it was. Anyway, I'll find it and share that with you. And I'll put a link in the comments. This makes so much sense. Yeah, it does, Matthew. I could get so much more done if I didn't have to spend time sleeping. I know, that's what I would used to say. But I'm telling you, you get more done by sleeping more. I know I do. It is it really, because I work better. I work more effectively, and I don't spend so much time clicking and looking for the thing that I can't find. And I'm going to tell you a story. Actually, should I do that now? Maybe I'll do that now real quick. So the other day, I was working in Final Cut Pro, I hadn't been on Final Cut Pro in a while. And so I'm using Final Cut Pro to create the graphic that you now see in today's CBD oil on my Facebook page today. You go there and you look at the cover and you'll see this graphic, right? And I wanted to use, actually, that wasn't doing that. I was doing something else, but it had to do with today's CBD oil. And I was working on a particular text motion effect. And I could not figure, it was multiple words that I was trying to get them to fly in, and they were 3D and all this kind of stuff. And so it's towards the end of the day, and I'm in Final Cut Pro, which I've been using for 15 years or something like that. I've been using it for a long time. But then I went to Final Cut Pro 10, which they completely changed the format and how it's used and blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting here for an hour trying to figure out how to use this particular thing to change the words, and I can't find it. I can't figure it out. It should be a simple thing, I'm thinking in my head, and here I am for an hour clicking on different stuff, moving stuff around, banging the table and going, what the hell? A friend of mine comes over and we want to go to dinner and she's waiting for him. I go, I got to figure this out. And I can't figure it out, right? An hour, at least an hour and a half. It was more than an hour and less than 2 hours. So an hour and a half. And I finally just said, screw it. I'll figure it out in the morning. And I just kind of pushed the keyboard aside and allowed the frustration to kind of go away. And then we went out for wherever we went. I forget. We went out to dinner, movie, something like that. So I come home, I take my CBD, I get a really good night's sleep. Really good night's sleep. I wake up in the morning, I sit down on the computer. Within a minute, I clicked. I go, oh, you know what I got to do? I got to make sure and highlight the portion that I'm trying to edit, and then move the timeline to where I want to change the word that I'm looking for, and then click on the timeline where that is, and that's when I can edit it. Less than a minute. Remember, an hour and a half of trying to figure it out. I got sleep. The wakefulness is low-level brain damage that I was experiencing at that time. My brain had been done and damaged to the point where I couldn't think or process. The following morning, less than a minute, I figured it out, and it just was so clear as day. So back to Nobby's comment, I get so much more done if I don't spend time sleeping, is a fallacy. Nobby, I'm sorry, but it's a fallacy. And I'm here to tell you that I know for sure now I felt the same way as you do. How I spent an hour and a half getting nothing accomplished, right? I felt like I was busy doing something, but I got nothing accomplished in an hour and a half. In the next morning, after a good solid sound sleep with drool on the pillow, I figured it out in a minute. I got so much more done in less amount of time and then moved on to the next, and I got the thing done. All right. So did I make that point? I hope that I made that point and didn't do something else. So, and I have a lot more slides to get to. This is going to be I hope it's not going to be a long podcast. I'm going to talk about nap. I took a nap today because of you and your testimonials. And I'll get to a nap in a minute. All right. So risk for Alzheimer's disease is increased when you have lack of sleep. Well, that seems like common sense, right? It's common sense that Alzheimer's disease is increased when you have lack of sleep. So here's that third shift work. And oh my gosh, those letters look so small. I'm so sorry. I'll just read it and I'll change those words and increase them or do something. But with this black with the white lettering, look perfectly fine on the computer. But anyway, and they look very, very small. All right. So third shift work, which is law enforcement type of work. I'm going to see if I can make it bigger here. Let me drag this around. Oop, they're getting a little bit bigger. There we go. And maybe a little bit. Sorry about that, guys and gals. So third shift work is anybody that works like at night, right? I worked as a police officer from 3:00 in the afternoon until 3:30 in the morning. And sometimes I'd work from 6:00 in the evening until 6:30 in the morning. So that's shift work. And what they have found, and this is a study that was done, that anybody that works the third shift work schedule there's an increase of incidence of obesity, increased diabetes, increased cancer in regard to the bowel, prostate, and breast. And the World Health Organization has determined that shift work as a probable carcinogen. So shift work is an increase in all of these horrible things. You know how many years I worked? 21 years as a police officer, most of those in patrol during these hours. I hated working day shift because not a lot happened. There was more reports that you take during the day for burglaries, auto thefts that occurred at night. At night, you tried to catch the people that were causing the burglaries, right? And it was way more fun to chase somebody, from Anaheim to the Mexican border. That's way more fun than taking the report that resulted from that suspect who committed the burglary. So I love working graveyard and cover shift is what we called it because there was so much more happening. However, in that during that period of time, I was increasing my incidence of obesity. There were times where I was a little heavier than I'm not obese, but there were times where I was heavier than I should be because you eat crappily. Is that a word that I just made up? Increased diabetic. Remember, I told you I was pre-diabetic. Do you remember that? And now I no longer am because I'm sleeping better. And I believe there's something that has to do with my dietary supplements that I'm taking. One of those being CBD oil. Increased cancer. What do I have? Prostate cancer. Increased cancer, bowel, prostate, breast. I have prostate cancer. because I believe what Matthew Walker was saying, right? I had worked years of shift work in the World Health Organization, not Fred's organization. The World Health Organization has determined that shift work as a probable carcinogen. What? Are you kidding me? All right, back to my notes. These are my notes that I wrote, and I was like just crazy about this discussion. A test was conducted where a group of people were given just 4 hours of sleep for only one night. For one night only, they were given 4 hours of sleep. When they tested them, I'm guessing through blood, tested their blood or maybe some electrodes that were put on their body, whatever it was, what they determined was there was a 70% reduction in critical anti-cancer fighting immune cells called natural kill cells. Now, on the podcast, he goes into a lot more detail as to what those kill cells are, but they're really important to our body. We have the potential, everyone has the potential of getting cancer on a day-to-day basis, but there's something called natural kill cells that keep us from getting that cancer. And when you only sleep 4 hours a night, you have a 70% reduction in critical anti-cancer fighting immune cells called natural kill cells. So is it important to have sleep? I think so. And it's important for me to have sleep now that I'm trying to get rid of this prostate cancer that I have. I think it is. I think this is perfect timing. And I will always thank Matthew Adams for bringing this to my attention and the potential that I have possibly of ridding this cancer out of my body. And that is my goal. I hope that I can. And I will share that all with you when it does happen. I know that recently with my biopsy, I was just told that it's less than it was before. I still have it, but it's less than it was before. As a matter of fact, in an MRI, it doesn't even show up. That's how little I have now. All right. So back to my notes. I get on these little squirrel tangents. All right. So sleep and learning. And again, that's really, really small. Let me just, it's not going to get any bigger. Let me see if I can increase this. I'm doing this on the fly. Try to help you guys out. Oops, I hit the wrong thing. Duh. Oh, I got rid of the editing part of it. Never mind. I'll do it later. I'll read it to you. So sleep and learning. This is really cool because this actually confirms some things I already knew. So sleep and learning. You need sleep after learning to essentially hit the save button so you don't forget. You need good sound sleep after learning to essentially hit the save button so you don't forget. It future-proofs those facts within the brain. You also need sleep before learning to prepare your brain. Without sleep, your brain becomes waterlogged. And when something is waterlogged, meaning it doesn't allow more water, more information to come in because it's waterlogged. You can't get more water into a sponge that's waterlogged because it has all that it can take, right? The sleep will essentially squeeze that sponge, your brain, of the waterloggedness of information to allow more to come in freely and get into the memory, to get into the brain so that you can recall it easier. And so the lack of sleep caused your brain to become waterlogged. The sleep actually reduces the log. I don't know how to put that. The waterloggedness, I guess, was the best way of me putting it. And so the sleep is so important. There's some things that in relationship to training dogs that we do and we've done for years. And that is when we train a dog, what we try to do is get that dog into a kennel situation or a crate after the training session so that the dog could possibly sleep or rest so that his brain could mull over and retain what it is the dog learned. We realized that when we would do a training session with the dog and then kennel him or crate him or put him on our police car, which we quite often do, and parked it, in a ways from all the action and not next to other patrol cars, that the dogs trained faster. Quite often when I would come back to my patrol car from a really heavy training session and would find my dog asleep, I would go, perfect. Because I knew with that, he would come out the next session and bam, he would have whatever it is we were trying to train. So if we're trying to train the dog to bite somebody and then let go on command, when the dog would become sequestered in the patrol car and then quite possibly sleep, the dog would come out and bite. We'd say release, the dog would release. It was almost magical, the benefit from sequestering the dog in a place in an air-conditioned car that would cause him to actually fall asleep after a training session. And we would see this on a day-to-day basis. The more we could get our dogs to do that after a training session, the faster training went. And that is fantastic information. It reinforces something that I did and didn't even know why I was doing it. I didn't even know why whoever told me about it, they didn't even know. Right. I could probably go back to them and say, well, I don't know, it just seemed to work. It seemed to work if we got our dog sequestered away and we got the dog to, do it to sleep, it would go better. And so it really seems to work. And so the sleep and learning is a huge thing that I really want to learn a lot more about this, because I just think that it's so powerful. All right. The next quote that I heard him say was the napping issue. The napping can have benefits, but they won't make up for good sound nighttime sleep. Naps don't self-medicate or make up wholly for lack of sleep. There was a percentage he gave, and I can't remember what it was, but he said something like you'll gain back something like 20 to 30%. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm just telling you there was something in that range. So it was good. It's better than not napping. I would say napping is good. I just woke up from a nap myself. That's why maybe I have so much energy right now. But napping is not horrible. But if you're trying to use napping to make up for lack of sleep at night, then you're mistaken. It's going to help, but it's not going to completely make up for not sleeping. He shared a story, and I'm sorry I keep going back and forth to my camera here, but it feels better when I'm looking at you and talking to you. But he related a story, and now I can't remember because he made a mistake at first. It was either Thomas Edison or Einstein. It was one of the two. But they talked about how he would go to sleep with steel ball bearings in his hand, and underneath where he would be sleeping in his chair, where he would do his studies and where he would do his research and writing of whatever it is that he was journaling about, that he would sleep in the chair holding the metal ball bearings in his hand. And then when he would fall asleep to that part that would cause his hand to come open, they would hit the metal pan and wake him up so that he could go back to work, because he only wanted these really quick sleep things, because he thought that same as Nobby and myself and other people think that if I sleep, I can't get stuff done, right? But I do know that I need to get some sleep. So he'd sleep just enough until those ball bearings would fall out of his hand and hit the pan and wake him up so he could go back to work. And he's saying he's pretty smart, but he was not that smart. If he would have known now what we know about sleep, according to this, that it would have been better for him to completely fall asleep and get into that REM sleep where your brain really begins to repair itself. But it's a really cool story. Again, he tells it on the Joe Rogan interview that he does with Joe, and it's a really cool story. But napping is good. Matthew, you did a good job by taking a nap, but it didn't completely repair whatever lack of sleep you may or may not have gotten during the nighttime. All right, back to my notes. Daylight savings time. This was so interesting. And I go, oh my gosh, we got to get rid of this daylight. I could care less about daylight saving times other than when it takes away the day. I like it when it brings it back. That's kind of exciting. But let's get rid of daylight savings time. So daylight savings times affects 1.6 billion people. This affects 1.6 billion people. So in the spring, studies have shown that when we lose an hour, there is a 24% increase in heart attacks. In the spring, during daylight savings time, when we lose an hour, there is a 24% increase in heart attacks. However, in the fall, when we gain an hour, there is a 21% decrease in heart attacks. When we gain that hour, the heart attacks are decreased by 21%. That is just that hour. He says, he goes, it's amazing what an hour will do for you. And you take away that hour, and it increases and decreases in regard to your heart and the ability of your heart to pump properly. And then the increase and decrease of heart attacks is affected. Drowsy driving causes more traffic accidents than DUI driving. That seems, it's crazy, right? That when we drive drowsy, that we're more likely to get an accident than if we drive in regard to being intoxicated. Men who sleep 5 hours a night only. So I should put only. Men who only, let me put that in there. Only sleep 5 hours a night have smaller testicles, plural, because most of us have more than one, except for maybe Nobby. Just kidding. Men who only sleep 5 hours a night have smaller testicles. I don't even know why I said that. Sorry, Nobby. Men who only sleep 5 hours a night have smaller testicles than men who sleep 8 hours a night. I'm guessing that's significant, especially during the times when you're trying to, have children, right? That is a problem. There's one for women too. Where's my women one? Oh, here it is. Oh, there's that. All right, out of order. All right. In women, it is the same. Well, not in regard to testicles, but in regard to the reproductive system, that it affects your reproductive system. So, lack of sleep. Let me check. Nabi, I knew that was coming. Nabi's from Australia. We have an international audience here. We have people from Canada. We have people from Australia, and I'm just so happy. I'm happy, always happy when Nabi's on. And thank you, Nabi, for checking. Let us know. Check, report back. All right, women, it's the same in regard to their reproductive systems, that it does affect them in that way. Lack of sleep ages you by a decade. Sleeplessness will cause you to age by a decade. So I again have very young children, and I'm an older person. Not old. I'm just older in relationship to years. Unfortunately, I'm very immature for my age. However, lack of sleep ages you by a decade. That's all we need to know, right? That's all I need to know, is that I need sleep, because I need to bring back that decade. I need to add that 10 years to my lifespan. Insufficient sleep will actually change your DNA. And that's the end of my notes. But insufficient sleep will change your DNA. And I can't wait to get deeper into that. I'm hoping in his book, he'll go into a little bit more detail about that. It was kind of a sort, I think they went on to another subject, but it essentially changes who you could be if you got more sleep. So important. So this issue with sleep piggybacks on the power of what I believe I'm getting from the dietary supplement of CBD oil, in the fact that since I've been taking it, I have been sleeping way better. All right. So I really think that you should probably get Matthew's book. I'll go ahead and put it back up here again on Amazon. It's called Why We Sleep. And I got the Audible version right now. I'm going to go through that. Again, I've watched YouTube videos on Matthew. I can share my screen here. Here's one that I think it's really good. This one he did at Google. I'm trying to find it here. Hold on. And
what goes wrong with it?
He's an Englishman, but he teaches at Berkeley, and I won't hold that against him. But yeah, he's a Berkeley person. I know people say, "What does that mean?" Well, doesn't necessarily make him a bad person. All right, so there he is speaking. That's what he looks like. He's speaking at Berkeley. The name of that particular podcast is Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep, the New Science of Sleep and Dreams. Talks at Google. And I really enjoyed this talk. So Joe Rogan's podcast, I've listened to 5 times. This Google video, I'm on my 3rd time watching it. I have to watch it first, listen to things first, and then come back with my notes, and then begin to take notes on stuff like that. So I tend to watch things over and over. And then at the 3rd time, and if not the 4th time, I then listen for the little nuances and things that I missed the first time. It's kind of like when I watched, the movie Airplane. I watched it 18 times. Yes, I went to the movie theater. I actually worked at the movie theater and watched it 18 times. And the 18th time, I still heard a new joke that I'd missed earlier, because many times you're laughing so hard at the movie Airplane, the original one, that you miss the next joke, or the little bit of the look that comes that adds, time to that laughter. If you ever were a fan of Carol Burnett, and I just posted I think actually Matthew posted a video of the Carol Burnett show. And so much of what makes you laugh is the body language and the facial expressions and the positioning of the hands or the body and that kind of stuff. And so sometimes you miss those things. So in these interviews with Matthew, and in the discussions that I listen to, and this you don't have to do this, but this is what I do, is that I completely watch something or listen to something once, and I come back and then look for the smaller things, the almost more important bits of information that I missed because I was busy going, oh my God. When he said being awake causes, what is the one thing, the quote that he uses, the shorter not that one, wakefulness is low level brain damage. I spent so much time on that in my brain the very first time he said it that I probably missed 5 or 6 other bullet points that he made as he continued on, because I was going, oh my God, wakefulness is low level brain damage. And I had to sit there and think, wow, that is really profound, that being awake causes brain damage. That it's the sleep that actually is what your body needs. Your body needs sleep more than it needs you to be awake. Strangely enough. And by sleeping, it will reward you with more time. right? If you sleep, one of the things again is that saying that I will sleep when I die is the thought process that I don't want to waste any of my time on this earth by sleeping. But what you don't realize that you'll not only get more done if you sleep, but you'll add 10 more years, not days, not a couple months, 10 more years to your life. The body rewards you with 10 more years of life if you sleep longer, if you sleep more. If you just add a couple hours a night, say you're sleeping only 5 hours a night, if you can add 2 more hours, you'll be able to add 10 more years, a decade or more for that matter, to your life, which is the reward for sleeping. How is that for something? How is that? Is that good information? I think it's so good. Oh my God, sleep so much better since starting CBD. Winnie, you're the best. I love you. I am too. I cannot say enough about it. If the sleep from the CBD, if the sleep is the side effect, if sleep is the thing that I'm getting from CBD, and if it was the only thing, I would still be here doing what I do with you folks and talking about it and telling you how great it is, right? I would still do it. Not to mention the other stuff that I believe that I gained from taking CBD, the other things that I've got, the fact that I can work out again and lift weights, that I can play with my kids a little bit more intently. And I was gonna say intimately. It sounds funny when you say that, but you know what I mean? When I'm actually active with them as opposed to sitting on the curb watching them. I'm actually out there with them, which is completely different, right? And they love that. Those are the memories that they're going to go with, even if it's 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes of doing something that makes them laugh, that, that they threw the ball. My son, we were playing smash ball, and my 4-year-old just powered, my 4-year-old hit the smash ball so hard, it hit me right in the groin. We laughed after I got done crying. We laughed for 15 minutes, right? That is one of those memories that you take away from being able to be there with them as opposed to sitting on the curb watching them and going, oh, what a good job. Nice. Yeah, you look great. You're beautiful. You're smart, right? It just adds so much to your life. The fact that I'm able to do that, right? The fact that sleep gives me more focused attention on them and be able to have a conversation. I just had a conversation. My son, my children on the way to Montana with my former wife, and my son called me. He goes to the car. He says, "Dad, we're at some I don't know. I think they're in Oregon. They're in the Redwoods or something in Northern California. I can't remember where, but in Oregon. They just came out of Oregon and we're heading through Idaho. So anyway, he said, we're at a restaurant, and what I want to do, I wanted to come to the car. I just wanted to talk to you and just tell you how much I love you. And again, he's 12. And this conversation that we were having back and forth is just fantastic. And I'm not sure that I would have been in the place that I am now that just sit down and I stopped everything and talked to him and enjoyed this conversation. And it comes from this change of lifestyle that I think that I have with the children now, that it's just so much more relaxed, so much more at ease. And the more that the time that I've been able to spend with them, not on the sidelines watching them, but actually with them, has changed everything. And I really do believe that has all occurred within the last 3 months. What happened this 3 months? I started taking CBD oil. So whatever that is, if it's just simply the sleep, thank God. Thank Matthew Adams. Thank you, HempWorks and Josh and Jenna for bringing this and making this available. I just want to thank them. And it's been a wonderful time. I'm really appreciative of what this has brought. I'm thankful that I can listen to a podcast about sleep and connect it to what has been happening in my life and say, you know what, you guys need to see this, right? And I want to bring it to you. I feel like it is now kind of this mission that I am, that if I have good information, right? Did I have to take notes? Not necessarily, but I felt that it was necessary so I could give you good information on Facebook Live, because right now it appears that I have an audience of people that are interested in what I'm bringing from my living this lifestyle now, this new kind of healthy lifestyle in the dietary supplement, and when it's bringing that people are going, okay, let's see what's happening now. I see Andy's on. Let's see what he has to say about maybe somebody else. Let's see who he's interviewing. Let's see what he found in his research, because you know that I'm doing a lot of research, right? In the middle of writing this book and doing other stuff. And I'm speaking in Nashville in a couple of weeks, and I have to get that presentation done. But I want to make sure that when I get on that stage and talk to a bunch of doctors, yes, I've been asked to speak to a bunch of doctors about something called CBD oil and sound like I know what I'm talking about, right? I can't get up there. Sorry about that, Winnie. I left your comment up there a really long time, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff. And so I don't want to get up there and say it's CBD oil has been very good to me and then leave, right? I need to have some information. And so just so thankful. That discussion with my son this morning, we hung up and, Dad, I just wanted to call you and tell you I loved you and I missed you. And, it was so good. All right. So let's see what people are saying. Look, that's where you took a nap. You've called out a bunch of people to come watch, Matthew. Thank you. Gosh, you were fired up. Cindy, makes sense. Good. Yeah, the sleep thing, I just start thinking about it, and I connect it with these other things. And that's really one of the important things, is that you listen to what he's saying and you go, okay, where do I see that example in my life so that it can be real, right? It's like talking about, Jesus Christ or God, that when you are talking about something or read about something, it's hard, right? It's hard to put it into motion, or it's hard to believe that it's true unless you can find a connection that makes it real, right? There's something about us humans that we need to see it, touch it, smell it, taste it, hear it, and have it be a part of our life before we actually believe that it actually happens, right? We have to see it and touch it and feel it and smell it, right? And so for me, when I'm listening to these things, I go, okay, where have I seen that? Oh my gosh, dog training. I know that this is true because I know when we take our dogs after training and sequester them so that they can either take a nap or sleep or do something, that they learn way faster, right? It's that sleep that seems to make that connection where they're able to mold. Oh, there was something, I'm not sure if it was on the, no, I don't remember if it was the Google or the podcast, but he talked about with mice. So they would put these electrodes in the mice's on their skull, and they would listen, or whatever it is, listen to the brain waves, right? And the brain waves would have a specific cadence when they were going through the maze, right? This very specific cadence when they went through the maze. It was like that, 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 that. It was this, and he made the sound. So he makes the sound when they were awake and trying to figure out the maze. The thought process had a specific cadence to it, right? Then they would leave the electrodes on, the things that would monitor their brain activity. And then when they slept, that same cadence occurred, but it occurred faster. So what this meant to them in their research is that when they were sleeping, after they learned a new maze that they had to go through, that when they slept, they mulled over or thought through that maze over and over again. And not only over and over again, but they did it in rapid succession, that they repeated it over and over again in their head. And this is where it came to light in their studies, that it was during the sleep that you mulled over the new information that you learned during the day at an increased cadence and an amount of time, so that you went over and over and over and over again. And that's how the memory would become stronger. And it was another point where I go, oh my gosh, that's when I made the connection to the dogs. That's when it actually all came together. So that was really cool too. So listen to these podcasts. Let me check. All right. So much better since starting CBD. Thank you. I don't toss and turn. And if I do wake up, I fall right back to sleep. Exactly. Me too. Same thing. And I wake up to go pee. I love you too. And I love you too. Good. Thank you. The first night. Awesome. Yeah, me too. I called Matthew right after my first night's sleep and said, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? I just slept like a baby." That's what I tell people. This alone is worth every penny, but I get so much more. Nice. I can breathe through both nostrils. No sinus migraines. What? Oh my gosh, that is so. Winnie, and I know if you knew Winnie's story, and Winnie and I done a couple. Have we done more than one? I keep thinking we've done more. I think we talked about doing an interview, and we ended up finally doing it. But we both have a history of brain damage. Should I say that? I'll say I had the brain damage. I'm not sure what you had or what you wanted to talk about. But we both have concussion syndrome, post-concussion syndrome, and migraines, and nauseousness and from the concussions and what's the other thing? I already forgot. All kinds of stuff, memory loss and that kind of thing. And we both we kind of connected on that. We both were in major car accidents that caused that. And so yeah, so I'm so happy for you, Whitney. I know that this has been a long road for you, and you look fantastic, by the way. It was the first thing I shared with you. Yeah, very much so, Matthew. You want what Andy has? I'm not sure what that was. I must have said something. Take CBDO. Okay. Oh, I got you. There's a little space there and it wasn't connected. Yep. And there's the URL. So make sure and check out the URL. I'll go ahead and put my lower third back up so that it's on there. And yeah, go to that URL and you can get it and join me. If you want to get into the beginning stages of a revolution and want to help your friends and family, become an affiliate. I would just suggest become an affiliate. Every Friday I get paid from HempWorks, and I can't believe it, but I'm getting paid to share my story. It is truly unbelievable. I got this new mic because with the money that I made on just one of my paychecks, right? And I get paid every Friday from HempWorks. Yes. One more thing about sleep. I wake up and I'm done. I don't feel like I need to sleep like 10 hours. Perfect. Thank you, Winnie. Wow, there's a lot of comments. I'm gonna get through it. And Winnie, you're doing so good. I've been able to breathe through both nostrils since I was 5. What? Wow. So that's like what, 20 years? You're what, 25? Yes, I have bad brain damage. Yeah, we both do. Well, I do have brain damage because as it says here, wakefulness is low-level brain damage. See, that's what it says right there. All right, and that is one of those things. And so I'm not lying when I say that. All right, a couple more. Oh, shucks. Winnie. Nice. Yeah, buy CBDO. Andy needs the money. Yeah, I need it for my attorneys. You're not 50. There's no way that you're 50. Winnie, wow. That is awesome. All right. So I hope this has been helpful to y'all. Again, if you want to get in on all of this action, just go to todayscbdoil.com. todayscbdoil.com. It's right underneath my name right there. And Matthew or somebody, I don't know who, but somebody put it in the comments. Just go and click on it. It's also in the description. Just click on that. I would definitely get this book that Matthew has and read it. Or go to the Google video or the Joe Rogan podcast and listen. I think it was really good information. Glad I took those notes. And again, just make sure and comment. Let me know if you got anything out of this. If you did, that'd be awesome. Just to kind of just let me know if these are helpful to you and if it's something that that you're interested in. I'll keep going. I'll keep as I discover things and come across stuff that I think will be relevant to what it is that I'm learning. And it doesn't always have to be about CBD oil. It could be about anything else as long as it has to do with good health and good results. That's what's important. All right. So that's it for me. Thank you everybody for joining me. There's so many people that joined. I don't want to take a chance and miss anybody, but thank you all. I really appreciate you all watching. Appreciate your engagement and share and like. Go to Today's CBDO Facebook page. That would be great if you could send people there and have them like that. I know that in many cases people say, well, you're going from your personal page. That's really not what you're supposed to do. I do because I feel I have an obligation first to my friends and family that are on my personal page. And they'll always end up, I hope, many of them who are really, really interested will go to that Facebook page and become a part of it. But I just choose to come to you guys first. And in some cases I broadcast from there, but I really like coming here and connecting with you guys and just feel that it's better for everybody. All right. So that's it. I'll talk to you later. Bye, Australia, Canada, United States, whoever else is watching. Take care. Bye.